Section 9 of Volsungs saga. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Volsungs saga by Anonymous. Translated by Eirikr Magnarsson and William Morris. Section 9, Chapter 30. Thereafter Brynhild went out and sat under her bower wall, and had many words of wailing to say. And still she cried that all things were loathsome to her, both land and lordship alike, so she might not have Sigurd. But therewith came Gunnar to her yet again, and Brynhild spake. "Thou shalt lose both realm and wealth, and thy life, and me, for I shall fare home to my kin, and abide there in sorrow, unless thou slayest Sigurd and his son. Never nourish thou a wolf cub." Gunnar grew sick at heart thereat, and might nowise see what fearful thing lay beneath it all. He was bound to Sigurd by oath, and this way and that way swung the heart within him, but at the last he bethought him of the measureless shame if his wife went from him. And he said within himself, "Brynhild is better to me than all things else, and the fairest woman of all women, and I will lay down my life rather than lose the love of her." And herewith he called to him his brother, and spake, "Trouble is heavy on me." And he tells him that he must needs slay Sigurd, for that he has failed him wherein he trusted him. So let us be lords of the gold and the realm withal. Hogni answers, "Ill it behooves us to break our oaths with wrack and wrong, and withal great aid we have in him. No kings shall be as great as we, if so be the king of the Hun folk may live. Such another brother-in-law never may we get again. Bethink thee, how good it is to have such a brother-in-law, and such sons to our sister. But well I see how things stand, for this has Brynhild stirred thee up to, and surely shall her counsel drag us into huge shame and scathe." Gunnar says, "Yet shall it be brought about, and lo, a reed thereto. Let us egg on our brother Guttorm to the deed. He is young, and of little knowledge, and is clean out of all the oaths moreover." "Ah, set about in ill wise," says Hogni, "and though indeed it may well be compassed, a due reward shall we gain for the burial of such a man as is Sigurd." Gunnar says, "Sigurd shall die, or I shall die." And therewith he bids Brynhild arise, and be glad at heart. So she arose, and still, ever she said that Gunnar should come no more into her bed till the deed was done. So the brothers fall to talk, and Gunnar says that it is a deed well worthy of death, that taking of Brynhild's maidenhead. So come now, let us prick on Guttorm to do the deed. Therewith they call him to them, and offer him gold and great dominion, as they well have might to do. Yea, and they took a certain worm, and somewhat of wolf's flesh, and let seethe them together, and gave him to eat of the same, even as the singer sings. "Fish of the wild wood, worm smooth crawling, with wolf meat mingled, they minced for Guttorm. Then in the beaker, in the wine his mouth knew, they set it, still doing more deeds of wizards. Wherefore, with the eating of this meat he grew so wild and eager, and with all things about him, and with the heavy words of Grimhild, that he gave his word to do the deed, and mighty honour they promised him in reward thereof. But of these evil wiles naught at all knew Sigurd, for he might not deal with his shapen fate, nor the measure of his life days, neither deemed he that he was worthy of such things at their hands. So Guttorm went in to Sigurd the next morning as he lay upon his bed, yet durst he not do aught against him, but shrank back out again. Yea, for even so he fared a second time. For so bright and eager were the eyes of Sigurd that few durst look upon him. But the third time he went in, and there lay Sigurd asleep. Then Guttorm drew his sword and thrust Sigurd through, in such wise that the sword point smote into the bed beneath him. Then Sigurd awoke with that wound, and Guttorm gat him unto the door, but therewith Sigurd caught up the sword Gram and cast it after him, and it smote him on the back, and struck him asunder in the midst, so that the feet of him fell one way, and the head and hands back into the chamber. Now Gudrun lay asleep on Sigurd's bosom, but she woke up unto woe that may not be told of, all swimming in the blood of him. And in such wise did she bewail her with weeping and words of sorrow, that Sigurd rose up on the bolster and spake. Weep not, said he, for thy brothers live for thy delight. But a young son have I, too young to beware of his foes, and an ill turn have these played against their own fortune, for never will they get a mightier brother-in-law to ride abroad with them, nay, nor a better son to their sister than this one, if he may grow to man's estate. Lo, now is that come to pass which was foretold me long ago, but from mine eyes has it been hidden, for none may fight against his fate and prevail. Behold, this has Brunhild brought to pass, even she who loves me before all men. But this may I swear, that never have I wrought ill to Gunnar, but rather have ever held fast to my oath with him, nor was I ever too much a friend to his wife. And now, if I had been forewarned, and had been afoot with my weapons, then should many a man have lost his life, or ever I had fallen, and all those brethren should have been slain, and a harder work would the slaying of me have been, than the slaying of the mightiest bull, or the mightiest boar of the wild wood. And even therewithal life left the king. But Gudrun moaned, and drew a weary breath, and Brynhild heard it, and laughed when she heard her moaning. Then said Gunnar, Thou laughest not because thy heart-roots are gladdened, or else why doth thy visage wax so wan? Sure an evil creature thou art, most like thou art nigh to thy death. Lo now, how meet would it be for thee to behold thy brother Atli slain before thine eyes, and that thou shouldst stand over him dead, whereas we must needs now stand over our brother-in-law in such a case, our brother-in-law and our brother's bane. She answered, None need mock at the measure of slaughter being unfulfilled. Yet heedeth not Atli your wrath or your threats. Yea, he shall live longer than ye, and be a mightier man. Hogni spake and said, Now hath come to pass the soothsaying of Brunhild, an ill work, not to be atoned for. And Gudrun said, My kinsmen have slain my husband. But ye, when ye next ride to the war, and are come into the battle, then shall ye look about and see that Sigurd is neither on the right hand nor the left, and ye shall know that he was your good hap and your strength. And if he had lived, and had sons, then should ye have been strengthened by his offspring and his kin.